Hi guys, in this episode we'll be looking at possible information about the brand new Rolls-Royce Ghost. We'll also be looking at a post-pandemic future, or what Volkswagen thinks that might be. And in addition to that, we're also going to be looking at the future of motoring in the UK. Nothing less. But before we do that, make sure that you're subscribing to this channel. Make sure you subscribe to youtube.com/browncarguy. Follow me on all social media. Just search for #browncarguy. You can see it on my hat there. That's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, subscribe to browncarguy.com. You can see it on the screen there behind me. Cool. Let's get into this. So, would you like your Rolls-Royce to be less ostentatious, less blingy, less in your face or show-offy? Well, that's kind of where Rolls-Royce is going. So, what's happened is that Torsten Müller-Ottvoss, I hope I've pronounced his name correctly, especially as he is the CEO of Rolls-Royce. He's actually written an open letter ahead of the reveal of the brand new Rolls-Royce Ghost, which probably will be in August. And now this Goodwood Ghost, the previous one, or the current Ghost as we have it, that was actually introduced in 2009. So it's been like over a decade of this car. So it is about time we had a new one. Now the interesting thing about this is that it is Rolls-Royce's most successful model in its, 116-year history. So this is an important car. Now previously it was dare I say it, a dressed up BMW 7 Series. Well, okay, it was related to the BMW 7 Series, but now it's going to be on the same platform that the new Phantom and the Cullinan, I'm glad I pronounced that correctly, is based on. So it's going to be a completely new car, so there's opportunity to do something very new with it. The only picture we have is this teaser sketch. I'm afraid that's all they've released. There are some Scoopy type testing pictures with camouflage on the internet if you Google it, but this is the official picture. So now in this letter, now you will find the full version of this open letter on my Facebook page. So once again, go to facebook.com/browncarguy and you'll see it there. So the full text is there, but anyway, I'll give you I'll quote some of it for you. And so he said that, the pandemic, just as they were finishing this, or they were in the final stage of developing this new Ghost, the pandemic happened. And this kind of seems to have influenced their thinking regarding this car, although he says that that's kind of evolved over several years, a kind of a new approach to what they're doing. And it's based on, okay, so this is where I'll quote him. Our clients expressed an ardent desire for even more minimalism in design. This demand resonated with findings of our luxury intelligence unit. Luxury intelligence unit? Is that like a special spy unit for rich people or something? Is this like the, do they have like secret agents? My name is Royce, Rolls-Royce. Licensed to see how many diamonds are visible on your Rolex. Is that what they do? That's kind of cool. I bet his expense account is far more in excess of James Bond's expense account, and that's pretty spectacular. Anyway, I'm digressing. Getting back to this. The demand resonated with findings of our luxury intelligence unit and designers at the home of Rolls-Royce in Goodwood, West Sussex, who for some years had been tracking an emerging contemporary movement within a particular layer of consumers, which included our Ghost clients, and which we called post-opulence. We found that these clients are showing a marked tendency towards luxury objects that celebrate reduction and restraint, that don't shout but rather whisper. They are seeking design purity by rejecting obvious and unnecessary embellishments and overt complication. Interesting. So first of all, that there are layers of rich people. Okay, anyway, that's quite aside from that. So what they want is a less blingy Rolls-Royce. I mean, is that really what we want? I mean, I can understand they don't want to appear vulgar and wasteful, so instead they're thinking, let's spend vulgar and wasteful amounts of money on a car that's deliberately been toned down. Because they like the engineering. Why don't they just all buy Toyota Corollas instead? I mean, pretty well engineered and not very show-offy at all. Nobody will know you're there. Or what you could do is take the Rolls-Royce, de-chrome the grille. That would be a start, you know. And and what about the Flying Lady, the Spirit of Ecstasy, or Ellie in her 90? I think perhaps she needs to be a bit more modest now. Tell you what, maybe put her in a burqa. I'll tell you what, for certain parts of the world and certain markets for Rolls-Royce, I think that would play quite well. There you go, there's some suggestions for you. But you know what, on the other hand, they might actually be onto something here. I mean, you know, coming out of this pandemic, we're in a global recession. The whole world has been in lockdown. It's been a disaster. Aviation, auto industry, tourism, you name it. Everybody's suffering. Jobs are being lost. So we are in chastened times, and maybe, you know, we do need to rethink about how we promote content, promote products, or what context we show them in. This is going to be a real problem for the likes of Instagrammers and influencers who always like to show very fancy high-end lifestyles and yo, look at me, check me out in a Rolls-Royce, in a swimming pool with bikini-clad women around me. Yeah, not that ever actually happened to me. But anyway, that sort of stuff I think has to now go out the window. Certainly a little bit, because I think it's just going to be a bit too much in your face, right? Now, one final thing on the Rolls-Royce thing. Apparently with the release of the new Ghost, there's also going to be a bit of historic news, they're calling. They haven't said anything more about it. Just thinking about it though, I think that they might be introducing a hybrid or a mild hybrid version of the Ghost, if not a full electric, or if not, then I think that will come later. And that's not altogether surprising, because I remember experiencing a fully electric Rolls-Royce Phantom a few years ago in Dubai. So I know that this is something they've been thinking about, and that would make sense because it'd be very quiet. And they talked about whispering earlier, didn't they? So you don't get quieter than an electric car. Interesting aside about that Rolls-Royce Phantom. I remember speaking to one of the engineers at the time and talking about the transference of the torque to the rear axle. Apparently they broke a few axles and they actually had to tone it down so they could channel the torque more successfully to the rear wheels of a Phantom. My goodness. Anyway, that'll be interesting. Now, going over to America, and a press release from Volkswagen over there with Reinhard Fischer, again, I hope I've pronounced his surname correctly, who's been giving his insights into what personal transportation would look like post-COVID-19, and obviously this is in a very VW context. So something, for example, he says that with the COVID-19 pandemic, people are really recognizing the benefits of having a car. A private means of transportation that you don't need to share with anybody. It can be your sanctuary. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. And it's something that I've actually said in previous videos that I've done on here. And it's something that we're already seeing in action, as we're seeing an uptake in car buying. I'll come back to that in a minute. Now, he talks a lot about how the car buying experience itself will change, I think, particularly in the context of new cars, of course, this being Volkswagen. And he talks about the fact that, you know, there's going to be more digital buying, there's going to be things like contactless viewing and deliveries and that sort of stuff. That all makes sense, and that's something that's happening now. And one of the things he talks about is, what will the future showroom look like? So the future showroom, I see them as locations where customers can experience the brand. For example, they can get in touch with the colors, the materials, the emotions of the brand, and of course the VW products. As we continue to leverage our digital tools to showcase the products, it's possible that future showrooms might not need to be as big as they are today. Wow, that's an extraordinary thing to say, particularly as Volkswagen showrooms are quite big. But actually that makes a lot of sense, because, you know, if you're going digital and if you're getting into the world of VR, for example, which you could do at home, you don't maybe need to have that. Maybe you just need to go down and have a final look at something or take delivery or something, and that would be about it. So that makes sense. The next bit I'm not so sure about, because, and of course bearing in mind, this is against the backdrop of Volkswagen wanting to get really, really big as far as the world of EVs is concerned. And of course they're launching their ID range of products with that modular electric platform that can be suited to all kinds of sizes and shapes of cars. And that's all very clever, very exciting, and I'm sure it's going to be very successful. So he says, I expect the pandemic could cause the transition to electric cars, to electric vehicles rather, is what he actually says, to briefly hesitate but then accelerate. I get that. I see that initial hesitation because we have actually seen that now, and in some content that I put out recently on my channels, like I said, make sure you follow me on all my channels, we have seen post-lockdown a dramatic increase in used car buying, used car purchasing, and in fact used car prices have actually gone up by an average of 4.4%. This was in July, reported by Auto Trader, and that's quite significant, actually, particularly for this time of year. In fact, the used car market is running out of stock. That's apparently what's happening. But electric vehicle prices only went up by 2.7%, and hybrids actually declined a little bit. So that gives a little bit of a lie to how people might be all rushing out to buy electric cars. So what is the excuses that he gives for this? Why does he think that that might happen, the acceleration in buying electric cars? He points out the fact that one of the most contaminated surfaces that motorists tend to touch, and this is of course considering that the COVID-19 virus is out there, are petrol pumps, of course. And in fact, if you fill up a car, ideally what you should do is take the gloves that often are available at these petrol stations and use that, and then throw away the gloves, wash your hands, or use sanitizer if you can. Now, so he's talking about, isn't it better to be able to charge at home? But actually, most people don't necessarily have a house, cannot charge at home. They may have to go to charging stations anyway, in which case they may have to interact with apparatus, equipment, or plugs that other people have touched. So that doesn't really work in terms of his argument. And the other thing that he's saying is that, and to be fair, this is something that I also said in some of my videos, especially during lockdown, is that the air was cleaner. You could feel it, you could smell it, you could see it, and that people really liked it. And that's true, I liked it. And that his implication is that the fact that they've now tasted the clean air means that's a motivation for them to make sure that it is cleaner, so they will want to have cleaner cars. I would have agreed with him a few weeks ago, but now here in London we are post-lockdown and car use has gone up to back to normal. So I don't really see that, to be honest. I think that people are pretty fickle, and I think that most people, what might actually be happening is that people, after a while, they thought, oh, I've had enough of this clean air. Where's all that good old pollution? I want a bit more of that smog back in my life. I mean, people are fickle like that, right? So I'm not so sure about that. I still think personally that manufacturers need to focus on traditional cars, traditional engine cars, petrol and diesel, making them more efficient, making them cleaner, and look at other technologies, including hybridization. I know the values decline on that, but I still think that hybrid are a very important part of the solution, and of course other fuel other fuel sources as well. I'll come back to that in a minute, but also I think that may be a subject for another video. But anyway, let's move on to the final item. So talking of all of the future tech, future ways of powering your car, another bit of news is that there's a new £70 million research and development centre to be established here in the UK with the ambition of becoming one of the leading independent facilities of its type in the world. Again, let me just read from this to give you a little bit more information. It's led by the University of Bath. The Institute for Advanced Automotive Propulsion Systems, IAAPS, is designed to both accelerate the pace of innovation across companies of all sizes and to increase the supply of engineers with the skills needed to develop the next generation of clean vehicle powertrains. Now, this is clearly a useful and great bit of news, because what they estimate is that it's worth about 1,900 jobs and £220 million to the UK economy over the next 5 years. So that's definitely got to be good news. Expertise will be drawn from the university's team of more than 40 academics who are active in the relevant areas of research, alongside collaboration with car manufacturers, of course, and of course tier 1 technology suppliers, specialists, and specialist innovation businesses. I wish them good luck, because we do need to be thinking a little bit more outside of the envelope, literally the E envelope, and just always talking about electric cars, because sure that there are other solutions that we need to explore, as well as looking at enhancing the existing technology that we have, as I've already alluded to. But I've also got some golden tips for them, and this is what I think they should really be doing. What they need to do is they need to find dilithium crystals, and they need to work on developing the Mr. Fusion power generator. Look those things up, very useful. They could solve all our problems. And perhaps slightly more seriously, atomic batteries to power. Okay, yes, that may be from a reference to a Cape Crusader camped TV show from the 60s. But having said that, again, I'm only partly joking, because Google nuclear diamond batteries. Yep, I think there might be something in there. Anyway, but it's good to know that this sort of stuff is happening. Just sticking with this EV thing and how they're looking at the future of transportation and stuff like that. Another idea that has surfaced is the idea of charging lorries. Of course, we have lorries that go up and down the country, across continents and stuff like that, delivering food and everything else that we need. They were the only things moving during the lockdown, in fact. And one of the ideas is that installing overhead charging cables for electric lorries on e-highways across the country, costing an estimated £19.3 billion. The plan would put all the remote parts of the UK within reach of the trucks by the 2030s. It has been suggested the investment would pay for itself within 15 years. And there may be something in that idea, but why just lorries? For example, if they could have like a wireless charging system for cars, then even as the lorries are, well, I mean, we're on the highway and people are going to be using their cars more because nobody's flying. So if you have an electric car, instead of having to stop constantly, maybe you see your charge going down, you could just nip into that lane and, by wireless contact, charge up your car, get a little bit of a boost and get a bit of a top up, and off you go again. So that would be an idea. However, having said that, Tim Ansell, and if you check out my Brown Car Guy and Buddies series also on this channel, you will see that I recently had a great chat with him, a great catch up with him. He's a good friend of mine. He commented on my Facebook post regarding this actual story, and he did point out that that's potentially over 10,000 miles of thick copper cable, which could potentially increase copper demand by a third. And if you look into copper mining, it's not necessarily that good for the environment or for us humans, so just have a look at that. In fact, whilst you're doing that, also start to think about the mining and sourcing aspects of all of those batteries that are going to be needed to power all of those lorries. Yeah, I don't think this may really be the solution, although I know that we're all talking about electric vehicles going forward, and of course there will be some e-Tesla trucks. What do you want to call them? E-Tesla lorries? I don't know. They're coming soon as well. So anyway, the interesting thing about those is they have to carry 17% less cargo because of the weight of the batteries. So that's kind of, you have to really balance these things. We need to look deeper into this. Maybe this is a subject for another video. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think is the answer. Let me know what you think are the solutions going forward. Thank you so much for watching this video. As I said, make sure that you're subscribing to youtube.com/browncarguy. Follow me on social media channels. Just search for #browncarguy. That's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, subscribe to browncarguy.com. If you enjoy these videos and you find some value in them, then perhaps you can go over to patreon.com/Shazad Sheikh and support me there, and there you'll find some goodies and some content just for you. If not, please continue to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the rest of it. That's much appreciated and really, really wonderful for you to do that, for you to do that for me. You know what I mean. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.